Hi guys, welcome back to the reading of Mattie. Last time we read chapter 2, Normality, where Ali-Rose describes her normal school day-to-day life, and now we're going to read chapter 3, Reassurances. But before we do that, please check out Amazon, Playing with Reality, Molly Luby. I assure you it's worth a read, but I would say that. So, on to this. 3. Reassurances. When I got home, I went straight to my room and did my homework. I had a lot of English homework to do, as well as finish the classwork I had neglected. As soon as I was done, I went in search of any available Cullen I could find. I wandered into Alice's room to find it deserted. Alice's room was every human girl's dream. An antique dressing table was pushed up against the wall. It looked as though it belonged to a princess. I tiptoed towards it, trying not to touch anything. I opened the top drawer, my favourite drawer. It was full of tiaras. The tiaras were all beautiful, each one saved after a wedding. Most of them were Rosalie's. I picked up the only tiara in the drawer that had belonged to Renesmee. On my 18th birthday, it would be mine. I gently caressed the elegant silver, mesmerised by the shimmering, perfectly placed diamonds. I tenderly shut the drawer and span round. Alice's wardrobe doors dominated most of my view. Her wardrobe was the size of a normal person's bedroom, and it was overflowing with designer clothes. I sighed, content. I was sure there were some clothes in her wardrobe that were destined for me. The room was immaculate, but a little dusty. Nobody had been in it today. I peeked round the corner of Carlisle's office, but he wasn't there either. I continued downstairs, not letting the absence of Alice and Carlisle get me down. I carried on throughout the house. This is ridiculous, I thought to myself. Where is everyone? Is anyone near the house? Yes. My voice sounded in my head. I stopped. That was weird. Is anyone in? I called, only marginally louder than usual. I'm in, Emmett replied from somewhere outside. I strolled into the living room and sat on the smaller of the two sofas. Emmett was already there. Hey kiddo, good day at school. Emmett grinned at me. Not really, I answered honestly. Why, someone beat you at catch? He laughed at his own joke. Emmett was so irresponsible and reckless that I felt oddly at ease around him. No, my friend Harriet asked me some pretty dangerous questions today. Thank goodness I never had time to answer. Tough one. Yeah, I agreed. What did she ask you? Who I live with. He looked puzzled for a second. Why is that difficult? What was I supposed to tell her? I don't know. He stopped to think for a fraction of a second. You can always use our old story. Which one? The one we all used when we lived in Forks. Oh, I finally understood. Everyone knows that story too well. Oh yeah, you're right. Bella's books are a bit of a pain, aren't they? I don't know then. You could, just for now, say that Carlisle and Esme are your parents. I pondered this for a moment. That could work, but only as long as I changed their names when I mentioned them. I was speaking more to myself now than to him. I could just call the rest of you my aunties and uncles. That's what I think of you as anyway. You'd all just have to pretend that you're a sibling of either Carlisle or Esme. I was quite pleased with my cover story. It made perfect sense. That'd be easy enough. We're not going to meet this Harriet, are we? No, probably not. Then you just tell her whatever you like. Just keep the story the same time each time you tell it. Yeah, that's good. Thanks. I felt comforted at the fact that I was ready for Harriet's questions. She would no doubt ask them tomorrow. Hey, do you really think of me as an uncle? Yeah. Well, I used to. Not so much now. The older I get, the more brotherly you seem. I'll probably think of you lot as my brothers and sisters soon enough. That sounds better. Makes us sound less old. I stared at him in disbelief. Old? You guys? Give me a break. He laughed at my reaction. You know what I mean. I wonder if you'll ever catch me up. That would be weird. Something twisted inside me. I could never be older than Emmett. That would be wrong. No, I would refuse. But how? How do you refuse nature? Weird, but not wrong. Emmett backtracked, seeing my discomfort at his words. Concern looked wrong on his face, so I smiled. Yeah, you're right. I had a quick look around the room. trying to ignore Emmett's words. It didn't help. Would I ever get to 20? No, I can't. Well, I might be able to live for 20 years, but I will never be 20 years old. 16 or 17 would be good, but no older. I enjoy being the youngest. How do I stop myself from aging? Maybe it'll just happen naturally. Maybe I won't live long enough to find out. I sighed heavily. Emmett flicked on the TV and began to watch it. I had no idea what I was watching. I just stared idly at the huge screen, trying to keep my emotions under control. After almost 2 hours, Jasper and Alice appeared. A wave of comfort washed over me. Jasper's face looked troubled. He hurried towards me and replaced Emmett on the sofa. "What's wrong? I've never seen you so stressed." His face was full of panic. At his words, Alice flew towards us and was sitting on the floor at my feet in an instant. "It's nothing," I sighed as I tried to pull myself up. "I'm fine now. Whatever it was, it must have been major." "Tell us about it," Alice whispered. "It might help." I took a deep breath and began. It was surprisingly easy to talk about it. Maybe that was because Jasper was keeping my emotions firmly in check. Carlo and Esme were on the other sofa by the time I was finished. I looked over at them. Esme was smiling at me encouragingly, and Carlo looked perplexed and deep in thought. Eventually he spoke. "Getting older is just a fact of life. There's nothing wrong with it." "I know, but I could just never face being older than Edward." I shuddered. "I love being the youngest." "Even if you become older than Edward, you'll never actually be older than him," Alice chirped in. "I know, but still, you know what I mean." "I don't think that you'll have to worry. My guess is that you'll stop aging when you reach 7 years old. Just like Nessie. You'll be 18. That's not so bad, is it?" "No," I agreed with a sigh. I thought of the shiny tiaras. If only I could make it to 18. Carlo could think what he wanted. I didn't think I'd make it to 7, so this shouldn't have been bothering me. Why was it bothering me? Maybe I wasn't as pessimistic as I'd once thought. "You should be getting to bed," Carlo said to me, voice full of authority. He nodded his head towards the clock. 9 o'clock. No way. Was it that time already? I must have been sitting here for longer than I thought. I stood up and swayed slightly. Alice was there, holding my elbow. Fright danced in her now butterscotch eyes. I reassured everyone that I was just tired, and continued up the stairs, Alice by my side. The second I was in my pyjamas and ready for bed, I picked up Eclipse and started reading. I was reading about Bella's graduation party. I didn't concentrate on the storyline. I was too amazed by the party itself. Incredible Alice. At 9:30, I returned downstairs to say goodnight to everyone. The absence of Rosalie, Emmett, Bella and Edward wasn't strange. They had their own houses. Only 5 minutes away. Well, for them anyway. Carlo accompanied me upstairs. This was common behaviour. He always stayed with me while I was sleeping. Apparently I was getting worse during the night. This thought comforted me. It shouldn't have, but it did. It reassured me that when the end did come, I wouldn't be in pain, just asleep. That was all I could ask for. When I was safely in my bed, Carlo took his place in the armchair in the corner of my bedroom. It was facing towards me. Carlo looked far too good for my chair. I giggled silently. Carlo smiled. "What's it like to have the biggest ever colon?" I asked, surprising even myself with this question, and the emphasis I had put on the word ever. He chuckled. "It's wonderful. I'm never lonely or bored. We're all so different. Changing Edward was definitely the best decision I've ever made. Gave me confidence to change the others, you see." I nodded, and then another question sprang to my lips. "It must be really annoying to have to worry about me all of the time. It would drive me insane." He laughed again. "It's not so bad. We just want to keep you safe." The plural at the end made me feel truly loved. Everyone cared. "Thanks," I whispered. My chest was starting to hurt. Mixing that with the stress made me especially tired. "Any time." He picked up the book that was lying on my desk, sat down and began to read. It was Eclipse. I could tell by the back. He had read it before. We all had. I liked it the most, closely followed by Edward, of course. My friend Alison and I were constantly talking about it. She wanted to be a Twilight vampire. That's why she could never meet the Cullens. She may have been overly obsessed, but I loved it more. I thought of it as a part of our lives that I'd missed, so by reading it, I was catching up. But maybe she liked it more because to her it was just a dream world. Does she enjoy it more than I do? No. My voice sounded in my head for a second time. Why was that happening? I turned over, puzzled. It took only minutes for me to drift into unconsciousness. That was chapter 3, Reassurances. Next time, chapter 4, Heartache.